Hey everyone, and welcome to this new speed build in The Sims 4, and today I'm building a Spanish-inspired family house with 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, and this house is a base game only house. It was really fun actually to build it. I think it's the first time that I'm building a Spanish-inspired house. I know that at some point I built a house that was kind of inspired from Spanish architecture in Salvadorada, but I've used a bunch of different packs in this build. This time around, I decided to go for only base game. This is something that I wanted to do for quite some time because since Island Living, I was about to say Sulani, well, it's kind of the same thing. Ever since Island Living came out, I've only built houses using a bunch of different packs. I tried to build a vet clinic using only cats and dogs, Island Living, and base game, but I ended up using some items from Jungle Adventures. It was just a wooden floor that I've used for the vet clinic, but you know, still, I kind of failed as well, but this time around I really wanted to do something only base game related. So this house is actually the house that I will be using from now on in my single sim challenge series that I currently have going on my channel. Because if you have been following this series, you must know that the family is about to move house because huge things are happening to the family. Basically for this series, I've only been playing with a single mom and her son, and if you don't know the single sim challenge, I really suggest you go and check out the rules. I will make sure to leave a link to the rules in the description because it's a really fun challenge to try out. If you run into any inspiration block or anything in The Sims, this challenge is actually really fun to play because you only focus on one sim and it gives you, in a way, some kind of more freedom to explore the game and explore maybe the life stages as toddlers, children, and teenagers, and all of that more deeply and more fully, which is really fun. And I've been having so much fun with this challenge. And basically we're focusing mainly on Emmanuel, who was the little boy that we started off with and that we're going to be following until he dies, basically. And as I said, until now he's only been living with his mom. The backstory was that Alison, Emmanuel's mother, she used to live in San Maixino and she was working probably in a business company or something, and she ended up having a relationship with one of her managers. And things were going really well between the two of them. They went to a restaurant, everyone knew that they were together, and she really cared for him, and she thought that he truly cared for her. After a couple years, she discovered that she was pregnant, and that's when she thought maybe it's time for us to finally move in together, have a house together, and have this family that is about to happen, basically. And when she came towards him and told him that she was pregnant, he told her finally that he was married and that he already had a family, he already had 2 children. And she really took it really badly, as you can guess, because everybody around them knew that he was married, that he was cheating on his wife with Alison. Alison was the only one who didn't know and had no idea, and nobody told her that. So he told her that he didn't want to have anything to do with her child. He was ready to give her some money so that she would keep her mouth shut, to not tell anything to his wife and his family. And nobody was going to say anything. I mean, it had been 2 years and none of their coworkers said anything to this guy's wife. And Alison, she refused the money and she thought, you know what, maybe I can just stay and live in San Maixino and I will be able to bear this burden, basically, of this failed relationship and this lie that he put on me. But as her belly grew and her pregnancy advanced, Alison couldn't stand the stare and the looks of all the people that she came across every day, and she just couldn't stand to see this guy every single day. So she decided to quit her job and she found a place in a restaurant in Oasis Springs, and that's where she's been living so far, and this is where Emmanuel was born. So she had found a house which was not very expensive. I think for the challenge you need to move into a house that's under 30,000 simoleons or maybe 40,000 simoleons. I don't exactly remember how much money, but you can actually use cheat to start off with, and I did use that the amount of money that we were allowed to use to build their house so that I can decorate it a little bit more, put a little bit of clutter, and have a little bit more freedom than just starting with a starter house. And so Alison and Emmanuel, they have been living in Oasis Springs ever since Emmanuel was born. This is the only house that Emmanuel has known his entire life. But in the last part of the Let's Play, Emmanuel met his mother's boyfriend because We've played through the entire toddler life stage of Emmanuel, which was really fun actually. I really like playing as a toddler. It's really fun to see their imagination and see what they can do and see them being so independent and asking their parents for food, asking them to take a bath and all of that. It was kind of challenging, but Alison, she was actually really good at taking care of herself. But then when Emmanuel aged up into a child, that's when we got to know him a little bit more. That's when we discovered that he was a jokester, that he loved making people laugh, making people happy, that he just couldn't stand when someone was sad, especially his mother. And he realized really soon that his mother had been sacrificing so much for him. And as he grew up, he actually became really responsible and independent. And that gave Alison a bit more freedom and liberty, basically, to meet new people, to hang out with some of her new friends that she has met through her job. And one of these friends was Richard, who is now her boyfriend. Richard, he is a manager at the restaurant at which Alison works, and at first they were just friends, really good friends. They got to know each other. She learned about him that he was divorced, that his divorce went really smoothly and really well because he and his wife actually realized after he had had an affair with another woman that they actually didn't love each other anymore and that they were probably better off as friends rather than being husband and wife and continue lying to each other until the day they died. So after a couple counseling and all of that, they decided to divorce, and now actually Richard and his ex-wife are very, very good friends. But they really don't plan on getting back together. They realize, that their love is not here anymore. They have 2 daughters together and they love their daughters dearly, and they're still going to be their parents, they're still going to be representing only one authority, so they're always going to be in touch and in contact to make sure that whatever they're teaching their daughters is going to be the same on both sides. Though Richard doesn't have the custody of his daughters, he actually sees his youngest daughter, Ashley, every other weekend, and I think it's going to be quite fun sometimes to have a child in the household that I will not be able to control, because this is also one of the rules of the single sim challenge. You cannot control anybody else than the sim that you're actually playing with. I should have stated that before, but yeah, the single sim challenge, that's the rule, the main rule. You cannot control any other sim than the sims that you're playing with, basically. So in this house, we will have Alison, Richard, Emmanuel, and Ashley. Also, Alison during Winterfest gave as a present a little dog to Emmanuel whose name is Butter. And thankfully, Emmanuel in the next part hopefully will be aging up into a teenager, so he will be able to take care of his dog fully and he will not have to rely on his mother to take care of Butter. But rather than having only one sim that I cannot control, I will have 3 sims at times that I will not be able to control, and I have no idea how this is going to go because having only one sim to not take care of, Alison, she was really good at taking care of herself. She didn't have any distraction, maybe other than TV and maybe reading books, but after all, she's a bookworm. But now that there's going to be Richard, I don't know how this is going to go. Hopefully it's going to go well. So far, the Sims have been really smart and they've been able to take care of themselves really well, but I think it's going to be really fun. So as I was saying, Richard, he has 2 daughters. He has Ashley, his youngest, but he also has a teenage daughter whose name is Haley. And when Richard told his ex-wife that he had had an affair, of course, his ex-wife was not happy and they had arguments, they argued a lot. And one evening, Haley overheard her parents arguing over this affair, and because she has known her parents together her entire life, and now everything just fell apart and her family is just completely split up and destroyed, she needed someone to blame. And because for her, it's because of her father's affair that everything happened, which in a way is true. But thanks to this affair, this is when Richard and his ex-wife Jenna realized that actually their relationship was not working anymore. Haley, she decided to blame her father for her unhappiness and actually her kind of depressed state and her rebellious attitude and behavior that she has been having recently. And unfortunately, Haley doesn't want to have anything to do with her dad anymore, which is something that Richard really does not handle really well. And he's been talking about this to Alison, and Alison has met Ashley already and things went really well. She hasn't met Haley because Haley doesn't want to have anything to do, as I said, with Richard, so that means also with Alison. So I have no clue if I will include Haley into the story. Maybe she's just going to move on with her life, and maybe once Emmanuel will have moved out from the house, maybe Haley will try to get back in touch with her dad. Who knows? Honestly, I have no idea where I'm gonna go with that. But I'm really happy to have included some kind of a story element into the Let's Play because, you know, it's a challenge, but I still need to have some kind of a story element whenever I play. Either I'm playing just randomly or if I'm playing a challenge, I like to have a backstory and also kind of a storyline that I can follow to give more depth to my gameplay, and this makes things more fun for me. I really enjoy having this story element into my series. Even when I'm playing in my own time, I always imagine a storyline. Not necessarily dramatic storylines, but at least, you know, something that can happen, something that I can look towards to, or forward to, I should say. Also, something that is really important is that during the Let's Play, we had the lottery holiday that took place. And I controlled Allison just for a second so that she could get a ticket, though I've never won the lottery before. And there, finally the family won the lottery and my Sims had 1 million simoleons in their account, which is enormous. I've never had so much money in a bank account of one of my Sims, which is why I decided to not pay attention to how much the house would cost. And I was thinking also that Allison, she would have kept half of that money, half of the million simoleons that she won through the lottery for Emmanuel, and that she put that on another bank account that he will have access to when he'll be a young adult. So basically, right now, Emmanuel has 500,000 simoleons sleeping in a bank account waiting for him for the day when he'll be a young adult and be able to take his independence and go away if he wants to. So Allison, that means that she's going to, she allowed herself to use 500,000 simoleons, which is still a lot of money. I've never built a house that was worth more than, I think, maybe 200,000 simoleons, and even then it was mainly because of the landscaping. There was not even a whole bunch of furniture. Maybe I had used a bunch of furnitures that were very, very expensive, but other than that, there was not a whole lot in the house. Or at least it was not a house that looked really expensive. This one though, this Spanish Familia house, as I called it, I wanted for it to look as if, you know, it was a bit more expensive than the average house, basically. It's not a house that you would find in a, I want to say, middle-class suburban area. For me, it looks like a really expensive house for me. Not too expensive, but quite expensive nonetheless. And it's the type of house that you cannot afford right away, or at least not when you're in your late 20s, which I think is the age of Allison right now. She was pretty young when she had Emmanuel. Maybe she's in her early 30s now that I think about it. But yeah, so this house is quite expensive, and I was thinking as well that Richard, he had a situation. I mean, he was a manager in the restaurant, so he has responsibilities in his work, and I think he's earning his life pretty well. So I think the two of them, they decided to put some of their money together to be able to buy this house and live there. Richard didn't want to use too much of the money that Allison has won through the lottery, because he considers that this is her money and he doesn't want to take advantage of that. And he wanted to make sure with her that he was not going to be with her just because of her money, which is actually something that Allison kept secret, even though she apparently won some fame thanks to the lottery, which makes sense in a way, but it was very small. But anyway, that would explain why this house can be actually a little bit more expensive than the houses that I usually build, because usually when I build a house is worth in between 60,000 to 8,000 simoleons. It's still quite expensive if you're playing without cheats, but it's not too expensive. You can actually afford the house rather quickly if you're playing even without cheats, because I've managed to do this. I've seen some people do this as well, so I guess the houses that I usually build are not that expensive. This time around, with this base game house, it's quite expensive, but it's not too over-furnished, I think. I tried to be also a bit more cautious when it came to the landscaping. I'm trying to change the way I landscape my houses, because I'm kind of getting tired of the way I landscape my houses. You know, when I put those trees and then I put the plants just at the bottom of the tree, I'm kind of getting tired of that, but I still did it here though. It's kind of a reflex now. If I don't have that in the garden of a house, you know, surrounding a house, I feel like the house is empty and naked and I don't feel great. But I need to find another way maybe to landscape my houses and try to make it look a bit less wild in a way. Not necessarily as if all those grass and plants just grew and nobody really took care of those. because this is kind of what I feel like whenever I look back at my houses and the landscaping that I've done. Also, something that you might have realized is that I've played around with the terrain tool to make some stairs to be able to access the house but also get down to the backyard, which I really struggled with. I had an idea of how I wanted the front of the house to look like, but I didn't really know how I wanted the back to look like. I had an idea, but it wasn't clear, and I needed to experiment a few different things to see what would work. And I really wanted to have a pool in Oasis Springs because Oasis Springs is a desertic world. It's really hot in there, I think, so I feel like the Sims, they need to have a pool to cool down, especially in the summer seasons. By the way, in the LP, we're going to enter spring soon, so that means that the weather is going to go back into the hot temperature and probably heat waves as well. We still have to celebrate New Year's Eve though, which is going to be the next part of the LP, and actually Allison and Richard decided to move in together for the new year and to have a new life on the new year, and I think it's very symbolic and I really like that. So I think in the next part the family is going to be living in this house and I'm really excited. Though, when I will be placing the house into the world of the LP, I will be adding some pet items. In this speed build, there is no other items than the base game. So for the LP, since we have Butter in the household, I will need to place some items from cats and dogs so that Butter can eat, can sleep, can play, can do all of her little doggy things. And I may also give a quick makeover to Emmanuel's bedroom because I felt like the bedroom that I made for him here was kind of empty and not personalized enough. And I feel like we know Emmanuel enough to personalize his bedroom a little bit more. He's still going to bring with him his school project, his solar system that he did for school, as well as his fish, his discus fish, or at least discus. Discuss. This sounds so weird. It sounds like disgust, but it's not that. You know, it's a purple fish. It's actually really pretty. And I don't think there is any drawings though in his room, but there are a few items that I would like to keep with him because he had these items his entire life. Like for example, we also have this lamp that came with Strangerville, the lava lamp, and he has one in his bedroom, and I think it looks so cool. I wanted to add it into this room, but I really wanted to keep this house base game only, so I didn't put any lava lamp in this room, but I might place one when I will place the house for the Let's Play. So the house in the Let's Play might look a little bit different than the house that you see here. But I'm really happy with how it turned out. I did struggle a little bit though with the floor plan. I wasn't sure if what I had done was going to work out. At first I didn't want to have all of the bedrooms upstairs, but in the end I ended up having all of 3 bedrooms upstairs because it worked better this way. But I wanted to have most of the bedrooms downstairs actually, and maybe have the master bedroom upstairs with maybe a master ensuite or maybe the bathroom. I didn't really know. I tried a few different things, but turns out that it looked better, and it was better to have the bedrooms upstairs to separate the sleeping space with the eating and living areas of the house. I was also really happy to have put a mezzanine in this house. This is something that I tend to put rather often in my houses. I like having mezzanines. When I was growing up, I had a mezzanine in my house and I just really liked this huge open space when you could see actually the roof, when you could see upstairs, and when you were upstairs you could still have a conversation with the people that were downstairs, and I really like that. And usually mezzanines, I like for them to be big. In The Sims it's still quite complicated because I would love to have a mezzanine that's under the roof, but in The Sims it's still very complicated. I've seen some people playing around with that, but if you don't use, I think, the glass roof, it's really difficult to see what's going on in there. So this is something I think that you can do in The Sims 2 and in The Sims 3, but it's not possible, at least yet, in The Sims 4, but I don't think it will ever be possible just because of this room system that has been introduced with The Sims 4, which I do like, so I'm not too mad that we cannot really build under the roof, even though this is something that I really like, especially, I don't know, I'm just dreaming to have a mezzanine under the roof. This is something that I really would like to get. I might try and experiment a little bit in The Sims 3 to have this mezzanine that I'm dreaming of in The Sims and put it under the roof. That would be really cool. But yeah, I decided to put a mezzanine here in this house. Also, the entrance area, I had no clue what to put in there. At first I thought that I would put the living area, like living room, in this space. But because we already had this kind of formal living room, you know, in the same room as the dining room, I don't know if that makes sense. This is where the stairs are, basically. You have this living room. I thought that it would be strange to have almost the exact same layout of a living room in the entrance area, so I just decided to make it as an entrance area. And I know that it can be strange that the main bathroom of the house is next to the entrance area, but on the other hand, I like having toilets close to the entrance room, because whenever I go out, usually I try not to go to the toilets outside of my apartment or wherever I am, because I don't know who's been there before, I don't know what I can get. Anyway, I find that very disgusting, so whenever I come back home, I need to go to the toilets and it's an emergency. So I like having toilets close to the entrance area, so it didn't really matter to me that the bathrooms were so close from the entrance area, even though it was something that bothered me a little bit. Especially because I wanted to have also another bathroom upstairs, maybe a master bathroom or something, but I really liked how the house looked from the outside, and I think 2 toilets and 1 bathroom is enough for 3 people, sometimes 4 people in a household. Even if you have to give a dog a bath, I think it's going to be okay. Hopefully. I'm really hoping that it's not going to be not enough for this family, but I think it's going to be okay. Also, something that I really enjoyed by just focusing on items from the base game was that to furnish and to decorate the house, I didn't feel too overwhelmed and as if I was doing something wrong, because sometimes when I see other people's videos and I see how inspired they are to make clutter spaces and to decorate houses as if someone has been living here, I kind of envy that, and I've been trying to do the same thing in my builds, but it doesn't come as naturally to me as it probably comes to others. Even though I've been trying for so long, I like for my houses to look like the houses that you see in the magazine, like it's almost empty inside. First of all, it also runs really well on my computer because I'm not playing on a gaming computer anymore, and my computer struggles a little bit when there's too much to load on a lot. And also, it's a little bit easier to play in a space that's not too cluttered. But when you're building, it's different. Sometimes you just build a house because you're having fun building that house and you want to go crazy with the clutter. And every time I build, I'm like, oh damn, I forgot to put that in that room. And it would have looked so cool. And I feel sometimes disappointed in my builds simply because I forgot to put one item. So just working with the base game, I didn't feel this way because I was able to scroll through all of the items that we have really easily and see what we have really easily as well, and be able to place whatever I wanted where I wanted it. So that was actually really cool and relaxing to just build with the base game. I was really happy to be building with just the base game. I would love maybe to try and make another. I don't think I've made a starter house using only the base game. I'm not sure. I should try actually. I think I did a house that was on a budget. I think the house was worth 40,000 simoleons or something, using only the base game, but it's, yet again, you know, it's not a starter house. So it could be fun maybe to do another build only using certain items from the base game, or maybe use certain packs. Could be really fun actually to try that. But yeah, I really had a lot of fun building this house. It was really cool, really relaxing, and it did not take me that long. I was actually really slow while building it, but it was probably because I found that so relaxing to not have to focus too much on thinking about realism in the house and just go with the flow and see whatever I could put into one space and another. It was really relaxing, and I think it took me maybe 4 hours to build this house. So yeah, I'm actually really happy with it. So let me know what you think in the comments of this video about this house, if you like it, and you will find also in the description all the information to go and download this house on the gallery. Once again, it doesn't use any items other than the base game, so if you just have The Sims 4, you can play right away into this house. You might need to put though the move objects cheat, because I think I've used a little bit of move objects, especially when it came to the plants that I've put in the house, and maybe a couple chairs, but everything works perfectly in that house. I've played and tested it, there is no problem, so yeah. Just make sure that you turn on your move objects cheat when you're putting the house. But yeah, you just need the base game to play in here, which is really cool, and I'm really excited to go back into my single sim challenge playing this house and move on up, you know, with the Let's Play. I think it's going to be really fun to see what Emmanuel is going to be up to as a teenager. Also, once again, if you're interested into the single sim challenge, you can find the rules in the description. And yeah, I really hope you like this house. Let me know in the comments once again what you think. And thank you so much for watching this video, and I will talk to you in the next one.